The Crescent Moon Club, in association with ABT, presents Omnibus Unlimited, a roundtable discussion of provocative subjects which must be addressed today. A new philosophy for the third millennium. Hello again, everyone. I'm Laurence Nobile, independent researcher and host of Omnibus Unlimited. Tonight, from our ABT studios in Dover, our topic for discussion is Electricity, a Great Unknown. With us to discuss this topic is psychic healer and medical technician Tom Murray. Tom, thanks for being here this evening.
Good evening, Larry. It's a beautiful night in Dover.
It certainly is. Communications expert Kevin Smith. Kevin, thank you for being here this evening.
Pleased to be here, Larry, and glad to be out on this wonderful medium.
Well, thank you. Weathercaster Damon Nobile. Damon, thanks for being here this evening.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. The weather's okay.
And, of course, seeker and producer of Omnibus Unlimited, Mr. John Horrigan. John, thanks for being here this evening and having the show.
Thanks, Larry, and cut out the Mr. crap.
Okay. Our visual backdrop for tonight's show is provided by ABT. Gentlemen, electricity, a great unknown. It certainly is that. Very few things are known about electricity except that it works. Now, as I understand it, electricity is a way of moving electrons from one atom to another, from the orbit of one atom to another, and in forcing the orbital rotation of electrons from one atom to another, we cause a friction, which creates heat, and we delight in its use with such things as light and this microphone, running our cars, or at least starting our cars, television, which you, the audience, are watching tonight, audio, which you, the audience, is listening to tonight. Kevin, communications expert, you deal a great deal in electricity. I'd like your thoughts on exactly what is electricity, and more importantly, is electricity a life form?
Very interesting, Larry. First, I'd like to dissect and widen the discussion a bit in not just electricity, but also electromagnetic force, which is kind of that middle ground between
energy.
Yes, between the magnetic force and the electricity. It is another energy form, and as Larry said, the common use of electricity is convincing an atom to move an electron from one atom to another atom, with a byproduct of heat and other byproducts, including a promotion of the breakdown of the atom.
So, okay, so what the atoms that we use to produce electricity is normally in the form of copper wire.
Yes.
Now, as we are forcing the electrons to move from one and as I understand it, now in direct current, it simply continues along in a line. But in alternating current, it is moved from atom A to atom B, and then back from atom B to atom A.
Correct.
And that movement back and forth causes the release of energy, of heat,
in the form of electromagnetic force.
Okay.
Again, akin to magnetism.
Very good. Now, as this is transpiring, you're telling me that the atom itself, the structure of the atom in the copper wire, is breaking down.
Is weakening, yes. Yeah.
And so eventually the copper wire in your house will be absolutely no good whatsoever.
Yeah, over a extremely long period of time. Yes.
Go on, please.
But what I'd really like to discuss is what happens outside of the immediate influence of the copper atom. What effect is this electromagnetic force having in our daily lives on a cellular level? We are all living very close to a large amount of electricity. We wrap the wires around our houses. We use the electricity in close proximity to ourselves, and we have little understanding of what it's doing to ourselves. We all know that there is a certain amount of electromagnetism within our own body. We all know that our brains use a certain amount of chemical electromagnetism. And so, we should think about the effect on life itself that electricity and electromagnetism and electromagnetic force is having. Recently, in popular news, it has been discussed that living near transmission lines creates a high amount of leukemia, a high commonality of leukemia. It's also been discussed in the newspapers that sleeping in a waterbed, women have been known to have a high rate of miscarriages.
Very interesting.
So that there are a lot of unknowns here. We are living with a large amount of this electromagnetic force around us. We know very little about it. It's only been around for 200 years or so, and yet we embrace it so fully without knowing all the implications.
Well, because in the short term, it provides us with so many wonderful conveniences. But it's very interesting what you talk about, and life is full of many great unknowns, such as electricity. For instance, as we speak, as we are standing here recording this program for later broadcast, our bodies are being inundated with very high frequencies, ultra-high frequencies, radio frequencies, both AM and FM, cosmic rays, microwaves, X-rays. So, sure, electricity is a very important component to consider, but it is just one of many which surrounds. If our eyes were the same as satellite dishes, then we could see all of the varying bands of radiation that our normal eyes cannot pick up. Talk a little bit about that.
Larry, you're absolutely right. We are being bombarded with all of those electromagnetic radiations. Most of what you described were a form of electromagnetic radiation, which stems from, like you said, radio waves through microwaves up into the realm of light, both visible and ultraviolet light, and then higher than light, the cosmic rays. But what concerns me most is that the proximity to this particular 60-cycle form of alternating current that we've embraced is so close, and the vast use of it. It's not something that's being measured or monitored or used discreetly. It's being used for everything. We fill all our voids with it, our cooking needs, our heating needs, our communication needs, so fully with this one energy source.
And clearly, without this energy source, we would not have come as far as we have in relation to, say, our forefathers who, say, in the late 1700s, early 1800s, it would take them an entire day, if not longer, to go from, say, Dover to Quincy. Never mind coming back. And we do that without a second thought. We just run over to Quincy, pick up something, come back, or wherever it may be. And so traveling 30, 40, 50 miles and then back is not a concern. We don't really think about how much faster that is. And certainly electricity is one of those phenomenons which we use to speed up our daily lives in terms of getting things accomplished quicker. Now, is there any evidence to suggest, now I realize that you're bringing up the question, since we are embracing this phenomena to such a degree, let's hope that it doesn't hurt us somewhere down the line. But on the
And
other,
I believe it is.
okay, you believe it is. Now, what evidence do we have, and perhaps Tom Murray, our psychic healer and medical technician, can help out with this, what evidence do we have that exposure to massive amounts of electricity, or even to small amounts of electricity, is harmful to the Terran race?
I'm glad you asked me that, Larry. And of course, as I always say, it's all vibration rates. Let me take a non-electrical, let's call it non-electrical example. Let's take the example of a bacteria. A bacteria needs a certain amount of moisture, certain amount of temperature, a certain amount of food source in order for it to go. For instance, you catch a cold, the bacteria are in your system, they're feeding off of your body, they're living in your body because of a certain temperature that you have that can support their life. And also the environment, oxygen has to be there. If they're anaerobic or non-oxygen unit, they have to have things that can provide a burning fuel source for them. If you raise the temperature or lower the temperature, you can either by raising it kill the bacteria, or by lowering it pull the bacteria into dormancy. A baby that cries all the time might actually kill off the bacteria because of the acidity of the baby's blood makes it too acid for the blood to grow. A person... Exactly, oxygen alkalosis. This is one of the principles of working out. When I used to catch a cold as a teenager, I used to go out and run and break a sweat for two reasons. Number one, it promotes working of the immune system, which produces more white blood cells, and it also makes the blood more acidic, as Kevin just mentioned, and therefore kills off the bacteria. I didn't know I was doing that. I just felt it was the right thing to do. Let's get into another thing now. Let's talk about the structure of the enzymes of the human body. The enzymes are a little bit more complex than the bacteria in a body. However, the enzymes in your muscle tissues, the enzymes in your bloodstream, etc., have to have a certain temperature. One of the reasons an athlete suffers severely when he suffers from heat stroke, which is elevated temperature of the entire body core, is because the enzymes are breaking down. They structurally cannot hold themselves together. One way of breaking down enzymes is to expose them to radiation. Rapid radiation, such as microwaves. Rapid radiation, such as ultraviolet light. Did you know that if you sat 2 feet from a TV, you would eat up all the vitamin C in your body? You could develop rickets from watching TV. This is why you're told not to sit too close to a TV, especially a color TV. The radiation from a color TV is 5 times higher than a black and white TV. Electromagnetic radiation, as Kevin has been saying, especially in high-intensity energy fields, such as power transformers. Houses under them have demonstrated 500 times the level of very rare cases of leukemia in children in those areas, also shortened lifespans of people in those areas. A lot of this research work was done and has been documented by a doctor by the name of Robert O. Becker. Robert Becker is a orthopedic surgeon with about 3 different degrees and researcher. He loves to do research. He's done a lot of microwave and radiation wave research over 30 years in his field and specialty. Other doctors have also taken up his work and done it in other fields. I have to ask you a question, Larry. Do you ever go into the hospital and when you walk into the cafeteria and you see the microwave, what's the sign on the microwave say?
Sometimes it's no pacemakers.
Caution!
There is a big caution sign that says, do not stand too close, and
do not stand in front of the machine. That means microwave radiation is coming out of the front of that screen. Now, the density
Tom,
of your
before
eyeball...
you go on, though, how safe are domestic microwave ovens? I am from the
I'm
old
getting
school.
to that.
Okay, but I would rather cook it conventionally. Whenever the microwave is going in my kitchen, I tend to try to stand behind it and off to an angle, make sure there's an obstruction in its way.
Well, I'm getting to that. The reason you're not supposed to stand in front of there with a microwave is your microwave works on an electronic signal. The radiation that comes out of the front, which is glass or plastic, and is not shielded, like the rest of the machine, is going right into your pacemaker, and it can make the pacemaker go off extremely fast, and you have an MI. That's a myocardial infarction, and you die. Now, the density of your eyeball is about the same density of an egg. Have you ever cooked your egg in a microwave? So a lot of people like to look in the window of the microwave and see what's happening. What they're doing is they're slowly turning the fluid in their egg that's necessary for fission into an egg white. And you know how thick and solid an egg white is. The fluid in your eye should be as soft as the fluid in an egg before it's cooked.
cataracts.
Yes, I believe a lot of people are developing cataracts. Also, if they have their chest in front of a microwave, cooking in the kitchen all day long, or you work in a restaurant, oh, don't worry, we'll warm it up in the microwave. I believe these people are going to find that they're suffering from cancer, heart troubles, and weakened immune systems, as the police are doing when they use microwave radar guns. A tremendous amount of police refuse to use these Doppler devices anymore because of radiation exposure to them.
Let's get back to, here's an important question, especially for our female listeners and viewers. The housewife that works in the kitchen, that does the majority, as Larry pointed out so poignantly, electricity speeds up our lives. It makes our lives more convenient. So that now it's not from the 60s where everybody has the gas stove. Then the electric stove came in the 70s and 80s. Now it's nuke it, mic it. Is the rate of breast cancer, is the rate of breast and ovarian and uterine cancer increased in housewives since we have passed over the threshold into the microwave era? Is there any study on that?
But before Tom answers that question, I'd just like to remind our audience that the name of this program is Omnibus Unlimited. Radiovision for the 21st century and infotainment in its purest essence. Tonight, our roundtable is discussing electricity, a great unknown. Tom Murray, you were just about to talk about ovarian cancer and the women who work in and around a kitchen. Go on about that.
Well, as John brought up, he says he likes to stand behind the microwave. I don't. One of the highest density areas of electromagnetic equipment is where the magnet is. That is the magnet that creates the electromagnetic field. When you turn on a microwave, when you turn on a TV, when you turn on a computer, like the computer in your office, you increase the radiation field around that machine. The highest density of radiation around computers is usually to the back and to the side, because these are the least shielded areas, and these are also the areas in which the magnet, which is the memory bank for that system, is. So a lot of times people, well, I know it's unsafe to stand in front of it, so I'll stand beside it. You're nuking yourself more. Yes, as I say, let's take the woman that's the housewife, pregnant, sitting in front of a computer screen all day long, exposing her eyes to constantly changing radiation. Think about it. When you read a book, your eyes work left to right and down at the rate of speed that you do. You move your eyes and you move your head. So from a biomechanical standpoint, you're reading at the rate of speed that your body can move, your eyes. You also don't have to change the intensity of your eyes as you're reading. You're usually lit from behind with a steady light so that you don't have to open and close the irises of the eye to change the intensity. However, when you watch TV or a computer screen, that is thousands of times per second emitting a light, then not emitting a light. As you read a computer screen,
60 cycles per second.
It goes up and down, not back and forth. The eyes are not designed to go up and down, up and down. So you create eye strain along with microwave radiation or electromagnetic radiation effects. You also create tremendous amount of eye strain. This is going to lead to people wearing glasses as well, to neck strain because you have to crane the head forward, and also to shoulder strain because the shoulders support the neck. A lot of people get whiplash-type tightness of the muscles from working with these type of machines. Larry, yes?
Well, I was just going to say that's very interesting, and I think it's interesting to point out what Damon just mentioned, which is that the Chinese write in a manner in which they read up and down. But that is probably apart from the norm. Well, my question is this. When we immunize children against polio or chickenpox, what we are doing is introducing an organism into the body so that the immune system can then develop the specific antibody for that disease.
Yes, that's correct, Larry.
Which is based on an electrochemical recognition of the disease.
That's right. Now, what chance, if any, is there that being exposed over many years of time to low levels of electricity, the body then becomes accustomed to the electricity, therefore making it no longer a threat to Terran survival?
Larry, that's like an alcoholic getting used to alcohol and saying it's not going to kill him.
You think it's that bad?
He's going to die. That's why we have AIDS.
I mean, how much electricity is in our body right now?
Minimal. Level measured at the, I believe, microvolt level.
Microamps, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, then it must be at a very low voltage for some reason. Probably because this body cannot handle a lot of electricity.
Because it
Actually-
takes a lot of energy to create the electricity also.
Well, how much electricity is required for some message to be sent across a synapse between nerve cells? Is that so?
Gee, I think you got me
Is
stuck
that-
there.
is-
But, well, let me put it to you this way.
It would be minimal because the synapse itself is very small in distance. I'm not quite sure what the actual measure is, but I know an accumulative effect can be measured in microvolts, microamps.
Well, let's say when you're doing electrical stimulation or ultrasound, which is a form of energy too, you generally would not feel the ultrasound. You might feel a vibration. But if I was doing electrical stimulation on a person, we're measuring that in microvolts, millionths of thousandths of a volt. And 5/10 of a microvolt, a person might actually feel that. So you're working on a very, very low amperage, very low. High voltage electricity is used sometimes as a direct current. The body is a conductor. If I'm properly grounded, perhaps hundreds of thousands of volts could run through me without frying me if it ran through me and was conducted through me. However, if it was grounded in me, this could create problems. Don't forget, we've had people like forest rangers, people out hunting or camping, or even playing people that play golf. An example is the golfer Lee Trevino, who was hit by a lightning bolt.
Again,
And they'll get a burn somewhere, but they're functional, and aside from maybe some tight joints or something, they're living human beings.
that lightning is a direct current form where the electrons are flowing all in one direction. My concern, and hopefully the topic for discussion here, is based on the alternating current that we have embraced as our power source here, which, although creating a back and forth flow of the electron, also creates an electromagnetic force that I believe our cellular construction, maybe our DNA, maybe our enzymes, is not accustomed to, and maybe providing some detriment.
Well, Kevin, you're bringing up something. What I'd like to mention also is, although it's nice out here, we have a tent-type structure, tent and cabin-type structure here in Dover. We're out here in the fall and early fall under the nature and so forth. It's very pleasant. But we're also using fluorescent lights. Fluorescent lights, like TV, eat up the vitamin C and decrease our own magnetic energy field in the human body.
Because of the high frequency
yes.
of radiation.
There is a machine that was developed. It's called an ERG. And it's the ERG machine. I'm trying to remember what it's used for here. No. This is a machine you probably haven't heard about, Kevin. It's developed by a Earth type of company, Earth consciousness type of company. And what it is it has a decimal rate of 9 decimals, which is the same decimal frequency of the Earth. Now, they've done experiments with people where they expose them to fluorescent lighting, unnatural lighting conditions, and so forth, extreme elevated electromagnetic fields. One thing that happens is their sleep patterns get interrupted. They get up in the middle of the night. They don't know when it's day or night. The whole circadian, which is the biological clock cycle of the body, the whole circadian rhythm gets thrown off. However, when they use an ERG, they seem to lose that. The ERG machine is very popular with pilots, flight attendants, people that businessmen who travel a lot. They seem to have none of the effects of time travel, jet lag,
Okay.
because it seems to ground them and balance out their own proper electromagnetic energy.
What
field.
is the premise of the ERG machine? What effect?
It gives
does it
off a
have?
decibel rate that's the same as the Earth's.
In what form? In what factor? What
That
kind
I
of
do not
energy?
know. That I do not know. I haven't seen the machine yet.
Very interesting. Now, we've only got about 5 minutes left, fellas. Couple of things. Preventive medicine here. If indeed electricity is, and especially alternating current, a detriment to human survival, what precautions can we take? How far away should we stay from electricity? Incandescent lamps are obviously, I'm anticipating you're going to say that incandescent lamps are better for the human body than fluorescent lamps, although possibly consuming more energy, but keeping us alive longer. What about that? What preventive medicine or preventive steps can we take to shield ourselves?
Larry, as in a lot of things, moderation is the key. Less is more. And going one step further, fluorescence being worse off than incandescent, maybe a condensant form of light. Let's try burning something within a natural cycle of regeneration. Let's try using less light of an artificial form. Do what you got to do during the daytime. Bring the sun's natural light in. I think that we should really try to distance ourselves from that AC current. I think that there's plenty of plenty of good worth in a DC current technology. Many people have track lighting in their homes. Track lighting is a DC current lighting. There is a little transformer that converts the commercially available AC current to DC current, but the actual light bulb runs on DC current. I think we could get back to that DC living. We might be better off, and maybe just a less electricity type of living. Get it away from you. I don't think people need to be sleeping under electric blankets or in electrically heated water beds.
So you're not suggesting getting rid of electricity altogether?
Just minimizing its effect on us.
Just like you would control fire, just like you could control anything that's a natural source, but also can kill you or make you ill or burn you or harm you, you want to control the amount of electricity that's actually touching your body. Meditation, breathing techniques, fresh air. There are many, many techniques that are available to you if you think about it. Proper insulation of your wiring. I would say that it should be against the law to have anybody spend more than 8 hours in front of a computer doing work, because it just burns up the eyes, it eats up the vitamin C, and exposes them to tremendous amounts of radiation. Russia's kind of a dualistic country. Russia will not permit anybody to be exposed to the amount of microwave radiation that the Americans do. Yet at the same time, the Russians have built some of the worst nuclear reactors in the world. Chernobyl is a fine example. They've also never had any type of pollution controls in their country, and they're reaping the harvest of that now with tremendous lung disease, etc. The United States, on the other hand, exposes people to more microradiation, but is much more aware of the other health issues. I think each country has something to learn and something to offer. Another situation is we have to remember that exposure to things that we are new to always has an effect down the line. All I have to do is think about thalidomide in the 50s and being told how safe it was.
And it's very interesting that we have a history of, as Terrans, of finding something which is wonderful and then discovering later on that it is extremely harmful.
Larry, as I said, moderation is the key.
And remember, when Benjamin Franklin did the test with the kite as a walk-in, he found out he tried to make the cosmic connection between his electricity and the Earth's atmosphere.
Very interesting, and I'll just wrap up by saying that, as Kevin was pointing out, it's interesting to note that the former Soviet Union was working on large mirrors to replace street lights for cities, just to light a whole city with the sun's natural rays rather than using street lights. Just John.
From a satellite.
That's right. Well, that will have to end our discussion of electricity, a great unknown. I'd like to thank our guests for tonight's show, psychic healer and medical technician Tom Murray. Tom, thanks for being here this evening.
Again, thank you, Larry.
Communications expert Kevin Smith. Kevin, thanks for being in and chipping in with some great observations.
Thanks for humoring me, Larry.
Oh, not at all. Weathercaster Damon Nobile. Damon, thanks for being here tonight.
It was very energizing.
And, of course, seeker and producer of Omnibus Unlimited, John Horrigan. John, I dropped the mister.
Yeah, don't shock me.
Oh, help us.
For our audience out there, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or if you'd like to be a guest on Omnibus Unlimited, that address is Omnibus Unlimited, Box 577, Dover, Massachusetts, 02030-0577, and all letters that are sent to Omnibus Unlimited will be answered on upcoming episodes of Omnibus Unlimited. I'm Laurence Nobile, independent researcher and host of Omnibus Unlimited. For all of us here at Omnibus Unlimited, thank you for your attention, good night, and good luck. Omnibus Unlimited is a presentation of ABT and the Crescent Moon Club.